Woman who complained about being sandwiched between two obese people is told by American Airlines our passengers come in all shapes and sizes. After she said people who need seatbelt extenders are too fat to fly. Too fat to fly.
Okay, can I say something? There's something in the language that they use there because I don't think she...
Which one, her or American Airlines?
I don't think she particularly... This is the thing about everybody gets to write it from their own angle, but I don't think she said they're too fat to fly, right? That sounds rude. I think she called...
But she said people who need seatbelt extenders are too fat to fly.
Is it in quotes?
Yeah.
All right. So I feel like whoever wrote that article might have reworded it.
Oh, got
to
it.
be mean in her words.
Let me keep right. Let me keep okay.
Because here's what
Sydney Watson, an Australian American conservative political commentator, documented her struggle for personal space and comfort during the 3-hour flight on Twitter, but was in a rude awakening when American Airlines publicly rebuffed her excessive complaining. And this is what she wrote. So she what?
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. I think.
What happened to the...
I think they've labeled her so that they can be on the... It's like all these articles that get written this day. They choose a side.
Yeah.
And if you want, you use certain language to make this person like a conservative... she's not just a human being. But she's not just a...
But look what she said. This is what she put on Twitter.
Okay.
Quote, I am currently, literally, wedged... In capital letters between two obese people on my flight.
Now, isn't
wrote
that
Watson
polite?
on October 11th. And then she wrote, this is absolutely not acceptable or okay. If fat people want to be fat, fine. But if it's something else entirely when I'm stuck between you with your arm rolls on my body for 3 hours, so it's like...
Right, so at no point did she say these people are too fat to fly.
I mean, she's like, if you want to, first of all, she says, if fat people want to be fat, fine. But if it's something else entirely when I'm stuck between you with your arm rolls on my body, that's kind of messed up.
You mean that she said that?
Yeah.
All right. I think she's okay.
You think it's fine?
I think you should be allowed to say, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, but don't take your rolls out of my body. You know what I mean? Like, just say, like, I'm uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like she is. That is what she's saying. I feel like even as she's texting, she used the word obese, which is just like, how are you supposed to say it then?
I mean,
if you are, I don't know, man.
First of all, I think this person is. She says is an Australian American conservative commentator. So I feel like these are people who they like to start trouble on Twitter and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like,
this is what I'm saying. I think they've given you that label so that you feel that way as you've read it, because that's not how I feel. Like, I know who Sydney Watson is.
Oh, you know who she is?
I don't consider her.
You're protecting her.
No. Well, I think... Well, no, I'm not protecting... Wait a minute. So you think she's in the wrong here? Because I've known you for many years, and I'm totally surprised that you're taking this angle.
No. I think she's wrong on the way that she expressed her sentiments.
No, but I think you're reading... I'm
reading the article.
I strongly doubt that she was wrong. I don't think...
I think she's wrong in the way that she communicates her
I think the way it's being portrayed to you is being wrong. I think you're being led...
But she wrote it on Twitter, on her Twitter.
Yeah, but she wrote... What you just read was a polite...
What are you talking about? She said polite?
She doesn't say they're too fat. She's not mean about it.
Yes, it is.
She's saying, I'm having an uncomfortable time.
She puts obese people on my flight.
Right. Okay. So how would you word it then so that it would be more polite so that you wouldn't be late? What's that?
Better than saying fat people.
Yeah, exactly. She's chosen language here that's not as offensive, but it's been retwisted to be, oh, how dare she?
Yeah. No,
you're
I get it.
falling for it, hook, line, and sinker
of
by
course.
reading.
No, I agree with in terms of I don't think I agree with I mean, she could have been nicer about it. You know what I mean? Because knowing it's because obviously there's better ways to say whatever's happening to her, I
don't know. Okay, so I think she's thought about it a lot. I think it's being twisted there because I think they've labeled her so that you're already mad. I don't know what the newspaper is.
Daily Mail News,
which is usually Daily Mail is usually a bit of a shit stir newspaper.
Yeah,
in Britain.
Yeah.
And it's actually right. It actually leans to the right often. But they've labeled her as a conservative. They led with that information, which is completely unnecessary in this story. This story should just be woman wedged in between two obese people on flight was uncomfortable. That's what it should be. But instead they've gone, conservative.
Yeah.
They've used language to make you go, oh, this
course.
person who we don't want. And I don't think, being a liberal myself, but a Canadian or a well-traveled liberal, in America, you only have two sides, and it's really weird. Because I don't think that Sydney Watson is a conservative. Like, she's not a political.
Yeah, I mean,
she talks a lot about social situations,
exactly.
stuff like that. So they've done that to twist it, which is the same way that American Airlines has written back to her and gone, a little bit of a how dare you,
Well, she said that American Airlines just said that all passengers come in all different shapes and sizes.
Yes.
So
right. Now read that differently. Read it like this. Well, our passengers come in all different shapes and sizes. Sorry, you were uncomfortable. So you can say it that way because that's how it feels.
My thing is because I have a friend who's actually a comic that I think he's big, but he actually, when he goes, I think when he flies, he goes, I think from what I remember, I think he buys 2 seats.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's considerate.
That's considerate. And because he knows he's like, because he has a bit about when it's very, very funny when he gets in the plane and he just can see all the people going like, oh fuck, is he going to sit next to me?
I didn't know that I actually didn't know that you could do that.
Yeah,
because often, is there a thing on when you're buying your seats?
No, you just buy 2.
Yeah, but if you have the same name and stuff, doesn't the computer system usually go?
I don't know. That's the thing that we need to figure. I don't know if that's is that a thing that you can find to see if I think
you probably have to call the airline to do it, but that's considerate.
Maybe. Yeah, of course.
Because if you read that article,
well, that is true. I mean, and in a way, that should be a thing. Like if you're like that, because at the end of the day, and then maybe do maybe, hey, okay. Fine, half a price. You don't need to pay for the full 2 seats, maybe 1.5 or something. So then everybody wins there in terms of the person who's sitting there is comfortable, and then the person that's not sitting next to you is uncomfortable because it is uncomfortable.
See, now you've tried to say that with compassion, but the way that will be relabeled is that you'll be but that person,
but you could tell that person is annoying. By the way that I would never tweet that. If I'm sitting next to something, I would never just say look, I'm sitting next to obese people. I don't see the point of putting that out there. You know what I mean? I could, and then if I'm gonna say that, I would just send an email to American Airlines or something. Hey, can you do that? Or if you know there's gonna be.
Yeah, but I think in this day and age, everybody knows the only way to get something done is by publicly saying this is happening. Twitter's more powerful. I mean, I've gotten through to companies on Twitter, because they go, oh, we better deal with this. Whereas if you try to take the email route or the public or the polite, the even more polite route these days, they don't come back to you.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, sometimes you need some. To blast them online because then they actually answer you back. Instead of
like when my bags were lost. Yeah. My bags were lost for 9 days or something a few months ago when I got back from Britain.
Oh, really?
I don't remember how long now, but it was a lot. And
what airline?
And I was documenting it on my Twitter. British Airways to America, and then American Airlines.
Is it because your bags were too fat to fly?
it may well have been, but
and they got lost because
I had to work in Vegas at the time. But I remember, you get nothing done. That's right. I got stranded in Austin, then I had to go to Vegas. My bags went somewhere else. My bags got checked 40 times.
Jeez.
They've been to more places in America than me. And I remember
your bags are American now. Your bags are U.S. citizens.
Oh, that's right. I did a little thing on my on Instagram when my bag finally arrived. I documented it. I was my bag is here, and I sat him up on a couch and I played that song. I've been everywhere, man. Gave him a little joint. Gave the bag a joint on the thing, but I remember even then, it wasn't until I just went, what the hell? It was BA at the time. It was and then immediately they're like, what can we do? Mr.
No, that's true. Yeah. No, sometimes so I do agree. I think sometimes you do need to that. But
if this lady who is a feminist, you didn't look her up at all, did you? You're just like, she's a conservative fucker.
No, I didn't say that.
She's a lady.
I'm just going by
how they've led it. Yeah.
No, by the article. That's it. I'm not talking about
Exactly.
Look, like let me. She keeps saying
This is
like
the way
look-
the world
well, she
works now,
keeps-
though. If you can shame somebody in the opening sentence of your article, and
Look,
you
she
already
even
have all
says,
the people
she
you
even
want
says,
on side.
so to me it is mean, and she even says, I don't care if this is mean. My entire body is currently being touched against my wishes. I can't even put the armrest down on either side because there's no fucking room. I'm sick of acting like fatness to this extent is normal. Let me assure you, it is not. If you need a seat belt extender, you are too fat to be on a plane. And she says, she wrote, buy 2 seats or don't fly. And also, this is what she looks like. So it's like,
so
also,
she did write that?
yes. So it's like, also know who you, I mean, like, this comes across like somebody like this and saying that is like, come on, what are you doing? Like, just because you cannot, some
Okay, well, I
people,
haven't
some people
seen
might
that
not be able to
language.
control their weights and stuff like that. So you cannot just fucking say like, sorry if you're, like, it's very like obnoxious, like.
I'm in the
Okay,
middle.
well, I'm curious, though.
I'm in the middle because there should be space for you to sit down.
No, and
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
she
There
did
should be
buy
like
a
the thing is like
seat.
I'm disagreeing with her way of saying stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not
said this
disagreeing
for
with
another-
like, hey, you should have space. If I'm buying a
where'd it
seat,
go?
I should be able to be comfortable
with that too.
on a seat. So, but don't say, hey, like, I don't care if you're, like, it's like, come on, it's like,
She didn't say it to him personally, did she?
no, she's wrote that in
No.
Twitter.
Okay.
No, she's tweeted it out to her followers.
What I'm reading online is like there was a lot of middle seats blocked out during the pandemic, which was pretty awesome for people. But if you're a traveler who has like a guitar,
Yeah.
or like they're saying most airlines are pretty accommodating to people that need an extra seat for themselves.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
No, I think, look, I think, look, it's both things. Because also it's like, if each one of us are buying a seat on a plane, yes, we want to we know what we're getting. It's not going to be first class, but at least we want to be comfortable where I'm not like stuck like this too, And also for the other person, if you're bigger, then also for you, I think you are going to be more comfortable, like mentally and physically, because because I know they also probably feel bad. I mean, I'm 100% like, if you're a big person that you're sitting next to somebody and like, you probably feel bad too. So it's like, so then the airlines should also be like, hey, yeah, you need to have 2 seats and stuff like that. But then it comes to like, but then it's another weird thing because then people are gonna be like, now you have to show your weight.
Right, exactly.
Now you go.
Yeah.
Imagine now you go to the.
Well, this
to
is the issue
like when
that-
you're checking. Like remember
Just
you're
like your
checking your
bag.
bag and it's like, all right, get on the scale.
Yeah.
I mean, these
It's
are the real
all right,
issues.
You gotta buy extra seat for you.
These are the real issues. Because, see, I question all of this because I feel like they're putting words in her mouth here. So I do feel.
I'm just reading her tweets.
Yeah,
That's
but,
all.
No, but they're not her tweets.
Those are her tweets,
No,
man.
you're reading quotes.
That's
whoever
what she
this
wrote.
Article has
No,
put in.
you're not
You
reading
don't
it.
know if these are tweets or not.
It says right there.
This could be from anything.
No, she wrote it. Go to her tweets. Go to the girl.
Yeah, we'd have to go to her tweets.
She wrote that. Why would they wrote that? Why would they? She wrote that.
Because they might be from a blog, they might be from a different thing. This might not
Well,
be.
but
the
she
real-
put it out.
Yeah, but this might be her defense of the issue afterwards, after she's bombarded.
Yeah.
Well, because the only tweet that you can see, like tweets.
Or did she write that on her dating profile?
Yeah, what if she wrote it on her biog? See, you're making a lot of assumptions
my
here.
point is
you
that
framed
she
her
still
as a bad guy
but
in this.
she still
and I-
wrote it. She still
She
wrote
might
it.
have wrote it in her defense.
It doesn't
which-
matter. Even her
That
defense.
does matter. If she got
I mean-
attacked online by hundreds of thousands of people
so
calling
now
her fat phobic, I would.
So
if,
she
if I
says
was in-
gonna answer like that. You're fat. Nah, they don't.
No,
that's
she
messed
didn't
up.
go. You're
Yes,
fat.
she said right there.
Okay, well, okay. The real issue here is,
Hey, give me my phone.
if you don't want to find out the truth of what she said, but
Give me that.
because there's one tweet here that you can know is the truth. Her saying it's not acceptable. She's wedged in between 2 obese people on her flight. The other things, you don't know the context of this, and they are not guaranteed to be tweets. The one funny tweet down there is somebody who's written in response to American Airlines that says that after American Airlines said, are people come in all shapes and sizes? Somebody's responded, well, why are your seats only for medium-sized people? Which I think is a very good, because American Airlines are seriously, they're being dicks by making such a blunt response to somebody who's uncomfortable. Now, sure, if the language is as evil as it's being perceived, then yeah, maybe she could tone down her language. But it's an uncomfortable person on a flight who I think is correct that she's bought a seat and she's ended up with a third
and that's
of the
what I'm
seat.
saying. I think we all agree that it's like, no, if you're buying a seat and you're gonna be crazy uncomfortable, because nobody's perfect comfortable on a plane, no matter what. You're still there's gonna be it's not gonna be perfect, but you should not also be like, and also that also goes with like, because it has happened to me where like if somebody stinks,
Right.
like if somebody has like horrible BO and they're sitting next to me,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to move me a seat, because there's no way I'm gonna, and that's another thing too. Like if you stink,
Yeah.
like to the excess where it's like you can't get on the plane. I think that's another. I mean, because it's a. And that's another one too. It's like,
Well,
so,
so let's go to.
but I would not gonna be like, hey, you disgusting,
Have you
stinky
never done that?
guy.
I have definitely tweeted out if I have.
No, I would.
There was a
I
guy-
would try to write it better. That's my point. I would tweet it out, but I would not trying to be so like.
You think it's been? Yeah, I mean,
I think her.
I mean, I hope.
I think
I
her
don't know.
way was
See, I
a
don't
little
believe
too
that it's-
extreme.
I don't believe that it was, but the things that you're quoting, I'm not convinced are quotes from her.
Why would they
I think
write
it's
it?
very misleading.
All right.
In order for them to get away, but I agree. I think you should have to buy another seat. I don't feel
So
that.
you think people should then be weighted like when they're checking their bags?
No, I think that's terrible. Imagine if we were all just given, all right, you have a 240-pound allowance.
Like remember when you put the bag and then you have to wait?
No, but did you read the article further? Because they were brother and sister. So the two obese people, and sorry if you feel that's an impolite word, but
No,
the two
obese is fine.
Well, okay, well then that's all she said.
But she said rolls.
No, the way you've read it
No,
is
she mentioned
obese.
Wait,
They
so
were
there were two obese people?
Yeah, there were two. She was sandwiched in
there's two.
between
In
there.
between, okay.
She was
And they
sandwiched
were
in between.
brother and
Well,
sister.
shit, that sucks.
It sucks.
Let them sit next
So
to
why
each
can't
other.
we be compassionate to the
Why
person who
don't-
sucks?
why don't they get to
Instead
sit
of
next
getting
to each
mad
other?
that she was like, "This sucks. I'm wedged in between two obese people," and it gets repeated by you like, "I'm wedged in between two obese people." It's not the way it's said at all. No. She's trying to say they're
Well,
overweight.
she put obese like in caps, in all caps.
Okay.
I mean, when you put in all caps, there's a tone there. They're like obese, like
made
instead
the
of saying
letters
like.
bigger.
I guess I'm just too tolerant for language. I'm like,
that's,
I think that.
So they
there's-
were brother and sister.
They were brother and sister.
Okay.
Well,
also,
So-
like, yeah, for them, they should have just bought the 3 seats.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because knowing that they're gonna like, and they're both comfortable, and then nobody
Yeah.
sits there. You know what I mean?
They split the
Yeah.
split
The,
the price of the ticket.
Yeah.
And they split the ticket. Whatever.
That's what I think. They should have compassion to do that. But also, some people suggest that the person in the middle should get a free upgrade to first class or whatever.
Yeah, but what happened if
I
there's
don't-
no?
I feel like because then it's against
Yeah.
the people who are overweight.
Of course,
It's like,
yeah.
So I think maybe if we're in a society that really wants to respect the fact that you can't control your weight and
Mm-hmm.
we need to look out for it, maybe they should get a discounted upgrade. Maybe if you are overweight, because you're not necessarily in the higher income bracket,
Mm-hmm,
but if you are overweight, maybe American Airlines could acknowledge that sometimes you'll need a discount in order to fly comfortably.
Yeah, yeah.
Because our passengers come in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
So if they could make those kind of measures,
There-
that would help them.
There's gotta
sure
be
they
like
could
a
do that.
thing of like, hey, I mean, it's very hard because it's like obviously you cannot. It's like you cannot ask people their weight, but like, but if it comes to that, then you'd be like, yeah, well, either, and also, hey, if you're but that's another thing to a person. It's like, it's the same thing. Like if a person that's really tall, like those basketball players, like they know they're like, oh no, I gotta get the emergency seat. Because
Yeah.
I need to stretch my legs. So it's like, and they know that,
Yeah.
so they need to, if you need to pay a little more, do that. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to also know as a person that because also, hey, you're not flying by yourself. You know what I mean? Like this is not your private plane. So it's like, you also have to like make adjustments to stuff like, because yeah, I think we all have to like, I think when things like this happens is when people which happens a lot now, where people think it's like everything revolves around them. It's kind of like, no, it's like you're flying on a public, basically in a 270 passenger seat. You gotta know, like, yeah, sometimes you're gonna have a baby crying. Sometimes you're gonna have, like, it's gonna be a little uncomfortable in some situations. It's not gonna be perfect. You know what I mean? So it's like, know that too. You know, so it's like this girl, like, I mean, like, she, like, but also, like, the same thing of these other people. If you're somebody that's, like, bigger, whatever, you know that too. Like, so you're, like, so you're comfortable. You're not making the other person uncomfortable, but you cannot just expect to, like, oh, yeah, who cares about the other person that's sitting in the middle and they're just getting
and I think
between.
this happens a lot because when this story came out, I started to look back on times that I've always been curious, like, because if I book late or whatever, if I pick up a last minute gig, I'll often end up in a middle seat. We have to accept that.
Yeah.
You know, in order. But when I am on, I'm like, why am I next to two huge people?
Yeah.
You know, even if they're not obese but tall or whatever. And now I know that's why. Because they're always traveling together, and I never question that. I'm like,
wait. You're saying that just.
No, I'm saying that often people are traveling together.
Wow. So you're saying that just obese people.
No, that's where you're going with this. No, but that's not where
you're saying. You're like, they travel together, like just obese people travel together, even if they don't, even if they don't know each other,
or even if they're big men.
Yeah,
I was and I've been in between. I know this now. Now that I look back on these situations,
but you're pretty tall.
Yeah, I'm really tall. I'm uncomfortable looking when I'm coming down and two big dudes are there and they know that there's somebody in the middle seat. And now I've known because they book these in advance and they've gone, somebody will be wedged in. But when they see,
but they don't know each other.
No, I think often they do. And now I'm looking back on this because I've always gone, why am I in between like two matching guys? Like these guys are obviously off to a hunting retreat. I'm with two guys who are clearly friends and they do like acknowledge each other. And then I end up in the middle and I'm like, this can't have happened.
Yeah.
Just by chance, and I now know because one time I was wedged in between a husband and wife.
Yeah.
And I remember asking, I'm sitting in the middle seat, and I'm like, because they started talking over me.
And then what you say?
As well, I was like, do you guys want to sit next to each other? And they didn't. They didn't want to move.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, I like the window. She likes the aisle seat. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I gotta sit here for this.
No,
whole
but then
flight
but did
you guys talk to?
But I would have told him like then I would have been like then. Both of you, shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, either, like, you cannot, you know. Like,
and then you'd be shamed.
No, well,
this is the situation we're in.
Well, but I'm not going to put it on Twitter. You know what I mean? But my thing is, like, I would have been like, that's disrespectful. It's like, fine, you want to sit here, you want to sit there, but then you can't just pretend that I'm not here. You gotta give me some privacy too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well, I do. I would put these things on Twitter, and I would say that I'm uncomfortable if I'm in an uncomfortable situation. I always share that.
Well,
but often it's because I'm a tall
Americans
dude.
should know too. Like I don't know if there's a way to know like ahead of time, like to move passengers or something to be like.
Well, that's just it. It would be down to the passengers to mention it, wouldn't it?
It's just tough to like, you know, I think the way...
It's hard to get, because we don't live in a society where
we're
asking for that information is polite.
Yeah.
People's weight and women's ages. You're not allowed to ask.
Yeah.
Or it's impolite. But can I say...
But maybe, I mean, maybe that's a thing to do now just to prevent anything because it's kind of like... I mean, and also you don't have to like ask your weight, but you could be like, maybe like, are you over a certain weight? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then, you know, because maybe that's a thing that they should do. Like, hey, if you're over 300 pounds, you need to buy 2 seats.
This is
you know what I mean? Something like that where you choose.
Yeah, well, this is where we get into trouble.
But then the person's like, why? It's like, because our seats are not, you know, and they understand that.
Yeah.
So maybe like it's not so expensive, but maybe it's a little more expensive.
Obese people would feel so discriminated against.
Yeah, exactly.
This is where we get. I'm not going to pay extra
to discriminate it.
Yeah, I like the person that said, "Well, how come all of your seats are just medium size?"
Exactly. Somebody made that a good.
There should be bigger seats. There should be like not first class, but there should be bigger seats for bigger people, so they don't have to pay for 2 seats because
they would have to pay a little more if they're bigger.
They might, yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like that's the main thing. It's like it's not like you're just gonna have to pay a little more. It's like you're gonna have a bigger seat, but it's gonna be more.
Yeah,
you know. But it's all about the planes too. It's like you know, like either like go. The planes need to be.
But are you
bigger
saying
now.
that this should be done in the lounge? If there's a
No. Before
morbidly
you
obese
buy,
person in the
no.
lounge,
Before you even buy, like when you're buying your tickets online,
then you have to admit it.
and you have to choose the options of like your address, all this stuff, whatever, and then maybe they ask you like, are you over 300 pounds? And you have to put yes or no. You don't have to put your weight, but you have to put yes.
Right. There's just a cutoff.
And then it's like, okay, this is like you can choose from this seat or buy 2 seats or something like that. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a thing.
Right. Because this is a hard thing. This is a hard thing to talk about.
Of
because
course.
Obviously, we're already going to offend people for discussing this, but it's a real.
No, I mean, we're not
issue.
offending. We're discussing the thing, but I think it's just. I think
Because
I
if
feel
not-
like it'll be better for everybody because they all feel better. Everybody's gonna like the person who's bigger is gonna be more comfortable. They're not bothering anybody. The other person, not sitting, sitting next to somebody that
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe that's. I'm just saying that I'm just trying to throw ideas out there of like how it could be resolved better, so then everybody's kind of like. Happy because again,
But you shouldn't just be able to do the strategy of you buy the aisle, I'll buy the window, and whoever is in the middle, screw them because we know they're going to be uncomfortable.
I'm saying, well, it's like my friend. I'm just
Well,
going.
and that's
I'm just
clearly what
going from my
happened there.
buddy, like my friend. He buys 2 seats.
Right. Yeah.
He knows, so he's like, no, I know that I'm big, so I'm not gonna. I want to be comfortable. I also don't want to make nobody else uncomfortable. So he just buys 2 seats. So he's very cool about that. You know what I mean? And that's it.
Yeah.
So it's like it's so I mean I think it's just being considerate because also like if you're like a big person and then I don't care I want to still save it's like well then you can't have both. That's where I go like you can have your cake and eat it too.
Exactly.
Like either like fine if you want to be big fine but like that means that you're gonna have to buy 2 seats.
So you're on her side. You're just
No.
angry at the language that you've been told was used.
No, she used it. She used it.
I
She
don't
used
think
it.
she
Yes, she did.
But could you imagine being a stinky person? Like,
Oh no, that's well. I
that's
did
his-
change. I was on a flight one time, and there was a guy. I think he was next to me, but like, I'm tolerable. This guy, smelled like balls and ass. It was just a combination of like where I'm like, I was like, I'm gonna throw up.
yeah.
So I was like, I
I'm
need to
saying, like,
move.
could you imagine a stinky person being like, I'm going to pay for the extra seat rather than just fucking cleaning your ass?
Yeah. I mean, no, but that's where the
Have a
extra
shower
seats. No, that's where the
and
extra
a
seats doesn't
breath mint.
work. You cannot have a extra seat for a stinky person.
No, that's the whole plane is going to
the
smell
whole plane
that.
stinks.
The
I mean,
whole-
that one that to me that like being
It's like when somebody farts
Yeah.
in the plane, and
To
you're
me,
like,
that's like-
you're trying to find the source of the fart. It can be hard. You're like, oh, that's 3 rows away. I think it's diluted enough.
now to me like stink. It's like being like if you're like if you're like drunk, intoxicated. Like when you're like really drunk, they don't allow you to even get on the plane.
Yeah.
Same thing. If you're like really stink, you can't get out. You
Yeah.
can't get in. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah,
I mean, I was like, sorry, you just.
it's the last.
Or-
Yeah, we're allowed to discriminate
And I'm talking about-
against stinky people.
But I'm talking about extreme. I'm talking about extreme, where it's like it's just
yeah.
not like like what, but like
It'll never fly.
I know that's another thing too. Like how are you gonna have a dog like a one of those like drug
I know it all
smelling dogs and be like
really makes us-
like to I don't know. It's hard.
I know I want more rules. So, because my thing is clothing. I think.
What do you mean?
I think you should have to wear, like, people who wear tank tops and shorts on
Oh,
the
yeah.
plane.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't like it. I'm uncomfortable
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
And
Which, by the way, that's a very,
and you
like-
can be obese, you can be skinny. I don't give a shit what you are. Fucking put a long shirt on and pants. Stop rubbing your legs and your arms against me. As
Well,
we're
that's a
sitting on
very-
a
I
plane.
noticed,
don't-
like,
I don't
'cause-
like. So I don't like that.
Yeah, I noticed I travel a lot. I noticed most of the people that are like older, like white guys that wear the shorts with the sandals.
Shorts, sandals, tank
Like
tops.
it's like why? It's like, and it's like I only get it if like okay, you're going to Hawaii, you're going to Cancun, you're going okay. If the final destination from that flight,
Yeah.
okay, I kind of get it, but not like but I agree with you. It's like
Yeah.
some people's like. It's like, come on, put some. Before flying was a very like remember people would actually wear like suits and tie. You know,
Totally, and they still do everywhere else in the world too. Only Americans have really taken to like. It's like they're just so liberal about their flights, and I just see them. Like you said, sandals. You're not going to see people unless maybe it's a third world country.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you're not going to see.
I don't
people
like it at all. I think it's like I feel like it's fine to be comfortable. Like fine, you want to wear some cool sweatpants and a hoodie, you know, to be kind of comfortable. But yeah, also some people are fucking coming in their fucking pajamas. It's like literally rolled into like oh, you didn't even. You just literally woke up and got into the Uber. It's like you didn't even go to the bathroom and change, even brush your teeth.
I wanted to say
like that.
because I have tweeted about this before because I was one of my middle seat experiences. I was wedged against two people who had very little clothing on. And both men. They were both men. The complaint might be different if it was women, but it's not. I'll get to that point anyway. But
I mean, they have like clothes. What do they have?
Tank top.
Yeah.
Short.
Like, and then it's a tank top that they're that like like you know that comes out there like they're not even tight, so the tit like the pec comes out.
It was too much. And regardless of their body size, there was a bit of rubbing and stuff. And it was creeping me out. So I feel like there should be a clothing. And I was tweeting all during that. American Airlines never responded to me and went, well, our passengers come with all different types of clothing styles or anything like that. But that grosses me out. And I did say to one time I was traveling with a couple comics. And, you know, but comics will go for anything. You know, we fish for anything. Like, you just tried to make me sound like the bad guy for saying that I was in between people who clearly know each other now that I look back. And that was their strategy. And it is often a strategy.
I didn't make you look bad. I didn't think it was bad.
You tried to go, you're saying all obese people hang out together. And I was like, no.
No, well, because I thought you were saying, like, that's what I thought you said.
But I did mention the clothing thing once. And, that couple that I sat in between, that drives me like that. Yeah, and then I started thinking, and then I read that story about that Sydney lady, what she went through. And I'm like, this is a thing that they're all able to do, couples, no matter what the reasons. There's a whole...
No, I'm saying it's fine, but don't be talking.
But the clothing thing... I'm traveling with other comedians, and I'm like, I thought it was going to be a conversation, but what I said was, because there were some women that got on our plane, and they had very little. They had little hot pants and a little skimpy shirt. And what I said was, don't they find it gross? Like, don't they? Why are people that wear little clothes coming onto these planes and sitting comfortably? I'm like, oh, like,
how grody those planes are. That shit's so nasty.
What's that, bud?
Yeah, those grody planes. Like, you're just living.
So these women came on. They're in these skimpy outfits, right? And they were attractive women, and I'm with comedians, and I did say, I don't know how they can do it either. We were talking about the clothing issue. I was like, I don't know how they can do it. And of course, the guys were like, oh, yeah, Jay, you want women to wear more clothes? Oh, look at you. Like, and I was like, that's not what I'm saying.
No, I get it.
I'm trying to empathize with, like, how can they get on a gross plane in their hot pants and stuff? And I'm like, whatever your reasons are for dressing sexy, on a flight might not be the time.
Well, and that's the thing too, because now there was like there's no. I mean, I guess there was a dress code before. I don't know if there was one or.
There used to be?
I don't know. I mean,
I bet you there probably was.
There probably was.
There's probably a dress code back when smoking was allowed.
Of course,
You probably had. You probably had to wear nice clothes, but there's people are just puffing away. Everybody's sharing.
Which is also like
that's
so funny, like having like the smoking. Did you ever travel when there was a smoking?
Yeah, I think
I do remember. Like, I think my first time that I got on a plane and they had the smoking section, which is like. What the fuck? Like in the back, like I'm like how do you think like the smoke isn't gonna come out to the front?
Yeah, and also because there was of course that transition period because it didn't happen till the early 2000s, did it? Everywhere.
No, oh really?
So
okay,
yeah, because I remember being on a plane that had smoking when probably in a different country. When in Britain they had outlawed it. That's when I was like, wow, the smell is everywhere. You really start to notice.
Well, it's kind of like smoking, like, remember when smoking in clubs? Remember, Like I remember,
because in Spain there's still
still doing
I've
it?
done shows in Spain, like recently where
Jeez.
you can still
because I
smoke
do remember like
on the stage.
you every time
And
you
I
come
almost
out,
have to do it out of romance
yeah?
of being the. I almost do. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta.
but it just
do
it
it.
make your clothes just stank, man. I remember
yeah.
every time every time I would go out and I come back and my mom be like, "Were you smoking?" I was like, "No, it's a club. Everybody smokes inside, and like you're stuck in there." And then it's just like, so I mean, I think if people want to smoke, fine. But yeah, I think now that have another room where people smoke, and then also I mean, like in a plane or stuff like that. Yeah, like I'm sorry, you cannot if you cannot hold it for like whatever reasons, then you should not be able to fly.
But farts travel with more. now when somebody farts in a bar where you're not smoking, and stuff, that's. You just gotta try to remember who left the room 10 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Who?
I mean, I don't mind a fart in a plane. I mean, because at least that definitely will go away. But the BO will stay there. You know, like if somebody stinks,
It's
that's
terrible.
for the whole
That's
flight,
terrible.
man. No, I remember at one time I was like, I think they switched. Either they switched me or they switched the guy. But I did tell the flight attendant, I was like, I can't. This guy it's just too much.
Right.
It was like, because I was like, this is just unbearable. You know what I mean? Where like you couldn't even breathe.
Right.
So I was like, I'm sorry, you gotta. And so I think either they switched them, or I got switched on, or like something happened where I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, no.
You
I
have
mean,
to
I
pull out
prefer
your mask and use it for a very
and
different
that's
reason.
and it's actually, what do you prefer? Let's talk about gamifying. Like I actually prefer sitting in between two bigger people than that they don't stink. And I'm gonna be uncomfortable, but at least than having like a seat in between with another person who stinks.
Yes. So what you're trying to decide is being overweight.
No, I'm just
Which
saying
is
my
worse?
choice.
No, I get what you're saying. Which is worse, being overweight or being
for
smelly?
you? I would prefer to do that a million times than sitting
I think
between
I agree
people.
with you. Yeah, I'd
'Cause,
rather.
like, I mean, to me,
I have
something
because
smell
I'm
like-
not overweight, so I can stand.
Well,
sit straight. And a couple of flights this past week, my head was over the headrest. I was literally putting my head back like that. while sitting straight. But yeah, so I think I'm with you. Smelling is
to me,
the
that's
worst.
it's worse.
And I did. There was a smell in one of my flights recently, and I was thankful that I had a mask in my. And I put the mask on, and I was like, "Oh, new use. There's a new use for the mask." Because it's just the shared air and somebody cranking one out.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. I think we're always, as well as going back at the end of the day, it's like, hey, we always have to, I think there's exaggerations where like, okay, man, this is uncalled for. You gotta say, but then most of the times we gotta just be like, okay, this is what it is by flying. I'm flying Southwest, or I'm flying whatever.
Yeah.
This is what it is. You know,
I'm ready for
yes,
bit of hardship.
exactly.
Yeah,
like,
'cause-
this is gonna be. It's not gonna be perfect. I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. If you go into that situation, unless you're paying first class, then that's a different story because you are paying for that comfort.
Yeah.
But if you're not, then just know that hey, it ain't gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You might have to. It might be a bit. I saw actually the other day this. I saw this. I was reading another article, which I don't know what you think about this. I guess this lady, it's a mom who had a newborn baby, and I guess they were going from like Seoul to LA. Like a 14 or 18-hour flight.
Yeah.
And she. So she gave everybody in the flight little little candies and little things and little like gummies or whatever, and then a card that says, "Hi, whatever the baby name was. I was just born. I'm 3 months old. It's my it's my first time flying, so I know. So I might be able. So I might cry. I'm sorry, but here's something that. And the lady
interesting.
and the lady gave like
Earplugs. To everybody?
earplugs for people. So it was like a little goodie bag for the whole plane, or or for like people that were mostly around them.
Right.
So that was pretty cool. I think that's
That
actually
is cool. I mean, it probably has a hit and miss ratio. There's probably some people who are like, "Oh, that's sweet," and then there's other people who are like, "Ah, fuck."
Well, but even then, at least it's kind of like. But at least even then, you're like, well, that's cool.
She's trying.
She's trying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I think that's a cool thing.
I know, because most parents with their crying babies are just already dead behind the eyes.
So what about?
Just going, I just gotta get through this shit. Oh.
So what about like doing that if you're like a stinky person or a obese person? You give a car and be like, hey, I'm sorry.
Well, Francisco, these are suggestions, but this is the society we live in. You're not allowed to do that.
But imagine if like you get like a little car that's like, hey, I'm sorry, I know I stink, I know I smell like balls, but here's some what's that thing that takes away your smell?
Smelling salts smelling salts gives it back.
Yeah, or something. Huh?
Is that chloroform?
Chloroform. Here's the thing so you can pass down.
We've handed out some chloroform so you can all knock yourselves out while this baby screams all the way to the destination.
The stink place. This is about if you're like a person that stinks.
Yeah.
It's like, I know I stink, but if you smell this chloroform, you're not.
Yeah, I wonder, you know what? This is something we could probably look up, but I think people have been kicked off or refused entry for stinking. And I feel like there was one that happened during the pandemic as well.
No, I mean, I think that should, because that's like somebody that's like intoxicated, like with alcohol, like they can't get in the plane.
I always worry about the intoxication thing because sometimes on long flights I like to drink, and it all depends on the
like
stewardess you get. Well, like we already said, I'm a big guy, so
You're an alcoholic.
I'm a polite drinker, though.
You're a polite alcoholic.
I'm not gonna get drunk and abusive.
Are you like Nicolas Cage?
He's always on the offense.
I think he's like Nicolas Cage and leaving Las Vegas, just like. Like where he's like he needs to drink to be like, hey, what's up? Hi, how are you? I'll sit between you guys.
Yeah, I'm a drinking extrovert.
Yeah. So you're an alcoholic.
No, where I was going with this is that it depends on the stewardess, or steward, that's plying you drinks. Because some stewardesses and stewards, they'll give you one drink, and then when you ask for another one, like 30 minutes later, they're like, "I think you've had enough." And you're like, "No, it's fine." Don't say I think you've had enough until maybe I'm running through the aisleway naked.
But if somebody tells you like,
I don't
you think you had enough, it's probably because you did, right?
No, it's often not.
So it's after one drink they'll tell you that?
It's often not, yeah. How do you know somebody's had too much unless they're slurring their speech
if I'm
and being
the flight
offensive
attendant
and
I already gave you, you're not even showing it, but if I already gave you 4 little bottles,
so you'd go 4. 4's good.
That's a lot. That's like, all right, I think you're like, if you want more, then you got problems.
4's pretty good.
You know what I mean? Like 4 is a lot. Like little bottles, that means like, okay, and also it's like, by the way, this flight is an hour. You fucking
that's
and you wanted 4 bottles. We're going to Vegas from Burbank, man.
How about that ratio? How about two bottles an hour?
2 bottles an hour?
Yeah.
Well, that's very alcoholic.
You think that's too much?
I mean, yeah, if you're going to like a 10-hour flight, that's 20 bottles. Why are you drinking 20 bottles?
You're not going to get to 20 on a 10-hour flight.
I mean, you're saying 2 hours a bottle.
Yes, I am. I do think that's an allowance, but you won't get that. You wouldn't get to that.
But even then, I'd be like, all right, you already had
out.
Enough.
How about once you start singing 99 bottles on the wall, then you're done.
Exactly. You need different rules.
So have you gotten like really drunk on a flight?
Yeah, of course. But really drunk to you. See, this is why everybody's got a different idea. Really, really drunk on a flight to me is crying watching a Ricky Lake film or something. That's like
Ricky Lake. What a reference.
Well, yeah, no, that's an actual deep cut. That actually happened many years ago. I don't even remember the name of the film. But Ricky Lake was in the movie I was watching, and I was about 4 vodkas deep, and I was just there going, I hope she finds love. No, that's all I'm like. I'm tucked away in a window seat, having my vodkas on a marathon flight to Sydney or something. And I'm like, I'm not bothering anybody.
Well, that's another thing too. You're like a. That's the thing because you're if you get drunk, you don't get
I'm not an abusive.
Because people some people get drunk, they get aggressive. So that's the thing. It's like you also they get aggressive or this stuff. So it's like you're not that, so it's fine.
Exactly. So you have no way of.
But how do you know? How do you know? Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's why the other person needs to stop you, even because they don't know that you're like.
This is my point. This is why some stewards and stewardesses are like, they'll let you keep drinking because they can see that you're just
Yeah.
minding your own business,
Exactly.
watching shitty films,
Yeah.
and waiting to get to the end of this 4-hour flight or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah, yeah.
and they don't cut you off.
Yeah, yeah.
But then others, when it's like you're only 45 minutes into the flight, you ask for a second drink, and they're like, "Oh."
I remember
you're
I
like,
had-
"Oh, come
you know
on, you
what?
gotta be fucking kidding me."
I actually remember one time a flight attendant like gave me this like a very like weird, almost kind of like semi-racist comment. I don't know, comment where I was asking for they bumped me to first class. I was there and I was like,
Yeah.
and I think I asked for like something, and then she's like, and then the lady, she was like an older, like a white lady. She's like, oh yeah, she's like, it's like, okay, I'll get it to you. It's like, and then, but she said something like, wow, you got that like that machismo, trying to tell me what to do thing. Like she said something like that, and
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
and I'm
You're
like,
like,
what?
danger.
And I'm like, what do you like? She said something. I'm like, oh, because you're Latin, like you're like if I was telling her like literally like, hey, go to where's my dinner? Kind of like that, like
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the? I didn't say anything, but I remember going like, are you okay?
Yeah, so this
I
is-
could have tweeted that.
I'm with you on that one. So that has happened a couple times
Oh,
where you're
really?
just like where you get something like
I
some
just
language
asked-
back here, and you're like, whoa, I did not.
Yeah.
I was being played, and then you're like, okay, I better just sit here
Yeah.
now. I'm like, holy.
Because so that's the thing where like I feel like being a flight attendant where like, because especially when you're in first class, you're like, hey, yeah, if you want another drink or you want another coffee or whatever, you should ask. But like I feel like sometimes they get annoyed because they're getting treated more like a waiter
Yeah.
or waitress than like a. But it's like that's kind of what you're doing in a little bit. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like you shouldn't be mad that somebody's asking you for, especially during first class,
Yeah.
because it's like. So I don't.
Sometimes they've had a hard day themselves.
Yeah,
and
no,
they're-
no.
and they're like not gonna.
Yeah. But that's another thing too. Hey, you cannot bring, as we know as comics, you don't
Yeah.
bring your whatever happened to you to
not to-
stage.
yeah.
It's like same thing. If you have a bad day, don't do it. Just be like, I can't fly today or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
don't. That's another thing too. It's like if you are in a bad mood, just know that, and then don't express it. Or if you are going to, then don't even do the job.
Yeah.
Because it's like, especially if it's a service thing, like, especially like a flight attendant or like a waiter or something, it's like, that's basically what you do. You attend people, like they're asking you for stuff and you bring them.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the job, So it's like, if you're going to get pissed that somebody asks you for water, then.
Yeah. Well, I doubt they'd get pissed at water, but it's just if you want to drink,
No, well, whatever. Just
everybody's
they're
got their
like,
own
yeah. But if,
gauges.
Yeah.
I've had too many edibles once upon a time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I remember feeling that I was on a window seat, and I'm comfortable with edibles, but I remember a wave hitting me, and it was a long flight. It was a cross the ocean flight. I think it was going to Europe.
Okay.
THC or psilocybin?
And what's that?
THC or psilocybin?
THC.
Okay.
What's the other one?
Mushrooms.
Mushroom.
Oh, no, yeah.
I
I think that's even worse, doing mushrooms on
but
a
I
plane.
had a bag of gummies, but I knew the 20 gummies that were the THC ones, and there was other gummies that I'm munching on too. But
Wait,
about
like
an hour.
normal, normal gummies?
Yeah, like normal. I had a bag, basically a bag of like 100 gummies. Most of them were
100 gummies? Like, what? Where'd you go?
just any candy shop
Man,
that
look
has
at
gummies.
he's like,
Why is the things that blow his mind?
Can you put the camera on me? It's like this is JJ. Like, I don't have a problem. Look, I just want 4 drinks per hour, and I got a full brown bag of 100 gummies. I don't know if they got THC. I don't know if they got mushrooms. Hey, I'm just a normal guy. Wow.
really framing it terribly.
I mean,
but-
a brown bag of 100
you haven't
gummies?
fully listened to me, but you like 100 gummies, and then inside that bag of the gummies, which ones are the THC ones. So you have like
Okay.
10 THC.
Oh, you
right?
mean,
So,
I got
yes.
okay, sorry. You
There
mean to
go.
sneak it in.
Yeah, in order to. Yeah.
Oh,
But you can also
got it.
snack on the non-ones.
Got it. I thought you were okay. Got it. It's just sneaking in.
Yeah,
to the
so you've got,
flight.
like-
okay. Got it.
Yeah, just and I started just eating heavily on the flight, thinking everything's
But you didn't
okay.
know you were eating
And then-
the weed ones.
Well, I think I was taking liberties with them and maybe going, it's fine. I'll have
got
another
it.
one. I'll have
So
another
then
one.
what happened?
And then about 2.5 hours into the flight, it hit me like really hard. And I was like, oh, this is harder than usual. And I was just there against the window and I was literally trying to, I was doing that thing of like, if you've had too much to drink or if you've had too many edibles or, or whiting out, basically having too much of a I was going, oh my God, am I going to have to get up and tell people now? Am I going to have to say to the people next door, like, I'm I'm tripping balls and I got to get up and go to the toilet. And it was an intense, I don't know, probably about 45 minutes to
what's
an
funny
hour
is like
until eventually
it went down.
I got it back down.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
But
fine.
you know what's
back to my
funny?
Ricky Lake movie.
But you know what's funny? I think when we get into those high things of like, we pretend we're like in our minds we're going like, oh man, I gotta stay cool, I gotta stay quiet. Because I'm pretty sure like everybody's looking at you like, look at this. Fucking, like, you were going like,
I know. I think I'm being subtle.
yeah, you're subtle and you're like,
dude's like on the roof.
I gotta keep it together.
Nobody can tell. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
What were you going
I'm
through?
fine.
What were you going through?
Yeah, what were you thinking? Like you couldn't breathe, or like it's a little too tight because you're on the plane?
No, it just was coming on a little too powerful, so you feel like you might
Because that happened to me. Like I think I had like a gummy or something before I was flying on a red eye, whatever. But like it, and then I didn't get like too high or anything. But like I went and bought like a big bag of Cheetos or something, or like or puff Cheetos, and then I was like just eating them like while waiting by in the gate, just eating them and just like. And then I'm like, and then I just realized I had like a finally like a revelation of like, oh fuck, I think people are looking at me because I was just like, but I could just imagine just seeing people going like, look at this fucking high guy just eating a huge bag of Cheetos without stopping,
They
like,
all know.
Yeah,
you got cheese all over your face.
But in my mind, I'm going like, no, I'm cool. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's like no, it's like. Everybody knows. It's like that TikTok. Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
I don't know what that is, but
It's like one TikTok thing, but
right.
but yeah, that's funny. All right, I think we're.
I think we
did
talked.
it. We
I
talked-
think we did about an hour on the thing that we thought would take 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's good.
We're like,
But it was all about. I think it's the first time we actually just stayed about the topic flying.
yeah.
Wow. Like
Oh,
that-
right. Yeah.
Like
I
we
guess
really just
technically
talk
because
about.
we didn't even do like
But
this is
we
our
did.
first episode back.
Yeah.
It's our first episode back.
But that
And we
was
haven't
fun.
really caught up with each other of like how.
But
how,
I think,
how
but I
was
like that.
everything.
But that was fun because I feel like it's cool to talk about this story
This
because
issue.
it's like this issue
Yeah.
because it's like we're talking about like we're very sports guys too. We love like debate. Like if you don't know about. There's debates now, shows on ESPN about like PTI or First Take and stuff like that, where they basically discuss in the world of. So this is kind of like our version of like,
Totally.
but about like a story that happened, and then we discuss about it. We give our opinions. You have a different opinion, I have a different opinion,
Yeah,
and
and
then we love to hear your opinion. Because I don't think
Yeah.
it's about being right or wrong. It's about finding what's the best solution.
Exactly.
I
We
guess.
would like to, especially for this topic, it deserves a discussion.
A discussion for
and
sure.
I like that.
I
didn't-
would love to hear.
And I didn't realize that the language was going to be apparent in our discussion
Exactly.
because that's actually one of my biggest bugbears is when these journalists or whatever this day and age they
Clickbait.
lead with a thing that makes you feel away.
Of course.
Because they do this a lot at the Edinburgh Festival and in Britain. Like it'll be like think of how offended you'd be if it was like if it said something like arrogant comedian Francisco Ramos has, and you'd be like,
Wait,
what the fuck or whatever. It's being misled.
Wait. Why'd you? I thought you were gonna be like Latino comedian, but why'd you say arrogant?
No, because
like that means. Are you
because Latino comedian. No.
Are you? Do you think
Are
American?
you following what I'm saying?
No. Do you think American?
No.
JJ. I think that was
No,
like.
I'm saying
it's
that's
like a
how
little
you-
like.
No.
It's like arrogant Francisco who thinks he's better than me.
No, that's I'm just
No, I'm
okay. Maybe
joking,
I'm not.
joking.
Maybe it's falling on deaf
but
ears,
I know what
I'm
you mean.
saying
I know what you
that's
mean.
how they make sure
Of
that people don't
course.
like you.
Oh,
So that's what they would say.
and
Maybe I
also-
should say to me. So they go, arrogant comedian JJ Whitehead thinks his jokes are edgy, and then they do the thing, which makes people read it and go, "Oh, he's
Yeah, they
arrogant,"
already
and then
give
they
an-
automatically
a
don't
point.
like me.
They already give you an opinion.
And that's how I feel
They
that they framed that lady by throwing these
Exactly.
terms that
No,
automatically
and I
people
agree
hate
with
her
that,
when
and
she's just trying to have a discussion.
And I agree with that because a lot of publications, because that's what they do. That's how they. It's
Yeah.
about getting clicks and links, and
Yeah.
But what I was saying is like I was just going on the fact of what she wrote herself, and that's what I was.
But, and
And
I'm
again,
saying
you
we
could-
have to
you-
look closer
you have to
at
look
it to see
closer.
if
I'm-
that's the truth, because
and
I don't think it is.
But if it's on quotes, then she said it. Even if she didn't put it on Twitter,
No.
she said it. So
And
if she said
not
it.
with how but with how dirty these journalists
Well, I'm just
can
saying,
be
if she
these
didn't
days.
say it, then that's fucked up. But if she did say it, that's what I was going for.
Yeah.
On her language,
I have a-
which I was like, hey, I agree with you that you're to be uncomfortable, but I don't think, but it's like a nicer,
Yeah.
better way to do
I
it.
have a feeling they're being sneaky. I wouldn't trust it because of that language, because that clip. Whenever journalists lead with things like that, I always think they're being sneaky and they're taking liberties in the way they're quoting.
Yes,
things and
it's
stuff like
yellow.
that.
What is
So-
it called? Yellow journalism.
Is that what it's called? I didn't know there was a name for it. But
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It you wanna, because I know in Spanish is amarillista, which is yellow. Like it's,
Oh,
it's
interesting.
that's the type of journalism that they just want to make an like they
Yeah.
just like it's sometimes it's not truth. It's just to get you to like.
and it's super annoying. Yeah, super annoying.
Is it?
So yellow journalism and yellow press are American terms for journalism and associated newspapers that present little or no legitimate, well-researched news, while
Okay.
instead using eye-catching headlines for
Eye-catching
increased
headlines.
Right.
sales.
That's what
Okay,
it is.
yeah.
So this is yellow
Good.
journalism.
We just learned. All right. I just learned that.
Never
Never
did.
heard
know
that
that?
before. No, I've never heard that term before. That's
Yeah.
good. That's because that is.
That's a lot.
Now
of
I know what to call it when I see it, because I see it all the time.
Yeah, that's all. All the tweets.
It
all
happened
the-
in our writers' room all the time as well. It happened in our writers' room when I would see an article and
For
it,
Jim Jeffries,
and if
right.
they for the Jim Jeffries show, if they led with conservative or right wing such and such feels this, and right away to me that always used to
they're putting you
trigger
a thing.
my
Yeah,
skepticism.
of course.
But some other writers in our room that would trigger their faith, that would trigger their tribalism, and they'd be like, "Look, he's a right wing thing," and they're posting it in our
Yeah, they're
and I'm
already
like,
giving
"You're
you-
fools for falling for that."
They're already giving you an opinion of what you should think about that person without
Yeah.
even knowing what they're did or what they're saying
Exactly.
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
No,
It takes
that's
a little,
not good. Yeah.
Yeah, so it takes a little more skepticism, a little more discussion, but this is what we want to do. We want to talk about those kind of issues,
Yeah, so
and
if
if
you-
you've had,
So yeah, and then sorry to cut you off, but I was just gonna say like if you please would love to hear in the comments when we post clips about this episode of like we want to hear your thoughts. Again, it's not about being right or wrong. We want to hear like because we also if you have solutions, we love to if you can share them and we can then next time we meet we can actually say them and then
if you
also
think about the upgrades and stuff like that, the upgrade issue, and like, would it be better if airlines, if they want to be so righteous, if they offered obese
Exactly.
people an upgrade to the first class?
Of course,
instead of-
and also if you have other articles or things that you've come across that you want to share with us too, we can discuss it too. Something like this article, which is like it's a great way for about talking about traveling or and it doesn't have to be about actual just being on a plane. It could be just in a hotel room. When you go to a hotel room, like things that happens or in a resort or like traveling as a tourist. There's a lot of things.
recommendations,
Anything.
When we've had guests, you guys have seen the questions that we ask our guests at the end, and we still are going to keep asking the same questions, like travel advice and where they're from and stuff like that. So if you at any point want to chime in and let us know your opinions
Yes.
on where they're from, etc.
And just quickly, just a reminder, if I don't know when this is going to come out, but I'm going to be in Escondido, California, November 11th and 12th at the Grand Comedy Club. Also in Reno, Nevada at the Laugh Factory on November 24th to the 27th. And then, and yes, they're all fine. Go to my Instagram or website, franciscoramos.com for tickets. And I don't know. If
Yeah, man. I'm at the Grove Comedy Club in Arkansas in 2 weeks. It's my first ever. Have you been to Arkansas, man?
I think so, but I mean, probably for like a college or something.
Oh, okay.
But
I've never been to Arkansas. All I know is
let
Bill
me tell
Clinton.
you,
I just know
you're
Bill
gonna,
Clinton. That's Arkansas, right?
Let me tell you, the way that you look right now, you're gonna fit in very easily.
This has been said to me too often.
Don't worry about it. You're gonna be fine.
But come on and see me in Arkansas. It'll be my first time in your state, and apparently it'll go fine.
All right. Remember to subscribe, rate our podcast, share it, and see you next time. Bye, Alu.